application of AI interventions in terms of the health technology assessment is what I'm going to be talking about. But I think a lot of discussion around this would be something which would be great because we already had a talk in the morning on HTA. So just like a brief refresh of what do you understand by economics. Anybody? What is economics? Why are we worried about economics? Anybody has heard of economics? Yeah? What is it? Right, wrong, I don't care. What is it? We can just discuss. Sorry? Comparison of costs and its benefits. Okay. Why do we have to compare the costs and benefits? Sorry? To reduce the economical burden. But what is the fundamental thing? Why do I have to look at the cost or benefit of anything at all? Yeah, that should be affordable, it's the implication of it. But why do you do it? Let's forget about health economics. You go to a shop to get a dress, ask them like what are the costs of these two dresses, how well will I look or how good will I look as the utility that you derive out of it, which is a satisfaction. And then, why do you do that? Why are you comparing the costs and benefits? Reduce the burden. Okay, perfect. But what are you making there? Aren't you making a decision there? Right? You're making a decision whether you want to choose one or two. Right? And why do you have to make such decisions? Yeah, but why do you have to make that decision? Why can't you just go pick up 2, 3, whatever, and then come back? Why do you have to make that choice? Efficient outcome, very good, but why should the outcome be efficient? Why can't, anyways if I buy both, I'm going to have a much efficient outcome than I buy one, right? What is efficiency? Efficiency is nothing but how satisfied I am, right? Which means in case of human being, our efficiency is the level of satisfaction that I have. If it is production, we say that how much maximum have to produce. That is their satisfaction. As a human being, if I am buying something, I will want to feel satisfied about it, want to be happy about it, right? So if I buy two things, then I will be more happy, right? Of course we will be more happy. The more always makes us happier. Then why do we choose? Why? Quality. Let's say both the qualities are good or same. The economists are always in the dreamland. They always say like all assumptions we hold in the world that does not exist. So let's assume that the quality is same. Right? Then why do you have to make choice? Spend less and get more, and why do you want to spend less? Because you don't have enough, right? Right? So why are we making those choices? Because we have limited resources. So I go to a shop with 100 rupees and then I want like 2 dresses, 100 each. I can't make that decision because the resources that I have is limited, and nevertheless the choices, so I don't even have to make choices if I have no resources, right? So fundamentally the economics starts with the feeling of scarcity. Right? And then with the scarce resources, all that we want is like a lot to have happiness, full fun, all efficient outcomes, right? So as a health economist, what do? We again want the best outcomes, but we know that the resources are limited. So that is why we have to make a cost-effective analysis to see for the same level of cost, can I get more outcomes, or is it that do I have to spend less cost, get the equal outcomes? So there can be different permutations and combinations. Or do I have to spend more cost for more outcome, etc. Now, who are these decision makers? In our day-to-day life, we know that I go to a shop, buy some clothes, buy some groceries, etc. I am doing it for my own consumption, right? But in the context of health technologies, who is the person who makes such decisions? Who has to make these decisions? Patients? Okay. What kind of decisions patients make? Let's all think that we are all patients. What kind of decisions can we actually make? What? Sorry? We go to the general medicine. Generic drugs. Okay. And we go to the generic medicines because the costs are relatively lesser. Right? So this is one type of choices that the patient makes. And these kind of HTA, we call it as a patient level HTA. Okay, there are different perspectives which we take. One is the patient level, because I have to make a decision whether I want to buy this or that. But oftentimes when we conduct an HTA, it is from the government perspective. Why government perspective? What decisions do the government make? Yeah, because they are the ones who will say that this drug is safe to enter the market, right? Or only if the drug comes to the market, patient can make the choice. So first the government makes the choice whether they should come to the market or not. And how do they make those choices? They make those choices by looking at the cost of the new drug that comes to the market in comparison to the one that already exists in the market. We call that as a golden standard. Okay? And everywhere we have golden standard, be it technology, be it drugs, be it whatever. And the third perspective that we look at is the society perspective, which is in combination of the health system along with the patient perspective. Right? Now, maybe we don't really have a lot of time to get into the details of each of these perspectives, but what I can show you is some of the works that we have done at IISc with regard to the AI technologies, where we have to make a decision whether this technology A should be chosen versus B, etc. So let me just give you an idea of course, this is something that we've already decided, right? We've already discussed. That we have unlimited awards. All of us have a lot of awards, including the government. The government will say that I want everybody to be happy or everybody to be healthy, right? And this is an unlimited award. You can't have everybody healthy without compromising on something else, right? So everything is not possible because our resources are limited, right? When the resources are limited, we have to make a choice, where do I have to invest this so that I get better outcomes of it, right? That's the decision that we are making, and that will make the decision an efficient allocation. We call it as an efficient allocation of resources in, right? And that's where the entire business of HTA comes into the foreplay, right? HTA is nothing but we evaluate the healthcare technologies on the basis of its cost and benefits in comparison to the cost and benefit of the existing golden rule. Now that's what we do. Now how do we do that? This is all I think Professor Munyani has already discussed in the morning, that why do we do such a thing? I'm not just worried about how accurate your technology is, right? So when we work with the scientists, those who develop the AI technology, we work in collaboration with the scientists in developing the AI technology, because I'm not worried how accurate is the technology. Maybe your accuracy level is 95%. it by the government, then you can't do it. Right? So you also need to look at the cost along with the accuracy levels to ensure that it can be useful for everybody and it can be equally available. Yeah, so this is again like something which you've already heard. Have you heard this ICER values? What was that in the morning? Incremental cost effective ratio, something like that. Yes. Yeah, so what was that? Okay, let's just try to understand what it is. Right? We know that we have two costs and we know we have two benefits. Which means we have a new product and we have the golden rule. We have the effectiveness of the new product, we have the effectiveness of the golden product. Or the golden rule that exists. We have the cost of that and we have the cost of this. Right? So now, if I say that, well, which one is better? Just a simple math. By using the two different costs and two different outcomes, how would you compute that? Okay, let me say that the generic ones are always cheaper because the technology is always expensive. Anything new comes to the market, it's going to come at very high. Right? Can you blindly say that I want to go with the cheaper one? Why? Sorry? Trust issues? Why trust issues? Why do you have to? What does it mean that trust issues now come? Okay. See, I think that's the best part of economy is that we don't confuse ourselves with a lot of variables. All that I'm worried about is what is the cost of this, what is the benefit of this. That's it. I'm not worried about like somebody trusts this or not. After it is being implemented, then if people are not worried about the trust issues, then that is something that has to be taken care in the beginning itself. That's why we do the safety and accuracy analysis. Right? We make sure that the technology is safe, we get the ethical approvals and all of that before the technology comes to the market. So all that is already taken care of. The safety is completely taken care of. Now I want to make a decision that which one should I implement, like as a policy maker, right? So which one should I implement? And I have the cost of two interventions and I have the benefits of two interventions. How would you do a simple math to understand that what is the cost effectiveness ratio of one over the other? Yeah, so you look at the additional benefits for the additional cost. Right? It's a simple math. There is no rocket science in it. So when I'm looking at the additional benefits, what am I doing? I'm just subtracting benefits of two interventions. And then I'm dividing that by the cost of two interventions. So what am I doing? I'm just getting the incremental cost effectiveness ratio, which means that how much of an extra cost do I have to invest to get the extra benefit. Okay? So if I'm saying that my extra benefit is going to be 10, now how do you measure the benefits? How do you measure the cost? That is all like entirely a different game altogether. Right? But what I will get is that I will benefit 2 days of extra life, for example. Right? If that is your outcome. For 1 rupee extra than spending. That's what the incremental cost effective ratio means. And this is the most important value that all the economists are worried about. That what is the ICER value? If the ICER value is positive or not, and all of that you heard in the morning, that it is in the dominant zone or non-dominant zone, etc. But then I'll just probably show you how we do it. We do it slightly different way. But before that, when should the HTA be done? Right? That's a very important question. Should I do it before I develop the product? Should I do it after I develop the product, get all the safety approvals, etc.? Should I do it once the product is ready to go to the market? So you would have heard of the market readiness technological readiness curves. Yeah? What does that mean? How ready the technology is to enter the market, right? And the technological readiness score ranges from 1 to probably 8. 7 is where the technological readiness score is. 7 score really means that yes, the technology is ready and can enter the market, right? 1 would be an idea stage, 2 would be in a lab testing stage, etc., etc. And drugs, I'm sure, would have its own readiness scores as this has. Now, when it comes to the technological readiness score 7, which means I've ensured the safety, I've ensured everything, that is when the HTA becomes crucial. Before that, what you have to do is the early HTA, which means is this technology required? You might have hundreds of technology in the market, right? Why are you working on this technology if it already exists? So that's actually something that we do at an early HTA level before the technology, before the idea is being implemented. The idea is conceived, but do they want to really build the technology around that idea? That's where we do the early HTA to inform that look, you can go ahead or you should not go ahead. Right? And then we do an HTA once again when the technology is completely ready. And then the next HTA we do, which is the third level of HTA, to say that when the technology is going to become obsolete. You might have seen that there are so many technologies that come and go, right? And similar is the case with health technologies as well. Similar is the case with drugs as well. But when does it become redundant? And then you have to again conduct an HTA to say that now is where the new drugs have come, which is more effective, the older ones are redundant. So just take it out of the market, right? So we have the uses of HTA across time. But unfortunately, a lot of us don't do such work, and that's something that we've started doing in IISc to see can we have the entire life path of HTA on which we build the AI models to see that whether the technology is effective at 0 time period, at 1 time period, at 2 time period. Now, why do we have to do this? Because we are in a dynamically emerging market, right? We know that somebody would come like my own colleagues who work on AI technologies, they would come and tell me that look, the sensitivity scores, which is the true positive and false negative, etc. These scores and the accuracy levels are the 92%. After a month, the same guy comes and says it is 95%. So when these values keep changing, because we are working in those environments, then the outcomes are changing for me as well, right? So I have to make something which is more dynamic, that I don't have to sit and enter everything from the beginning, do my mathematical modeling from the beginning. So we have come up with something which is more dynamic HTA which we do. I can show you a demo of what we do, but before that, yeah. So how do you identify that? What kind of research you want to work on? First is you have to see what is the burden of that disease, right? And this would hold true for the drugs as well. Something where the prevalence rate is so less, you don't have to worry about it. I remember one of my professors when I just started my PhD, he asked me like, one guy is dying, and there's one guy is like almost dying, and then there is one guy who can live, and there is one doctor who is available at that time, at that point. She has a choice only to save one person. If you are that doctor, whom will you save? How many of you would say that one guy who is dying already? Like very serious. Let's put it this way. Very serious guy? No. Nobody wants to save the very serious guy. How many of you want to save the less serious guy? And all of you guys are studying drugs and nobody wants to save either of them. Yeah? Nobody wants to save either of them. Who wants to save the first guy who is let's say, less serious? No, I'm seriously asking this to understand like, was I the only person who was wrong to give the answer or everybody feels the way I did? Less serious, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, 6, okay, 7, okay. There are 7 of them who wants to save the less serious person. And then how many of you want to save the more serious person? Okay, that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it? Okay, there are a couple of more. I think I lost the count, maybe around 10. So we had a count of probably at about like 7 of option 1 and 10 of them. Slightly more option, more number for the more serious one. Can I get a reason as to why you want to say the more serious guy? To help? And less serious guy? You can you as in want to help? Yeah, but very practical girl, right? So practically, that's what. See, I'm not like really disappointed with your answer because I need the same answer, and my right is said that both of them are going to die, and your time is going to get wasted. At least you could have saved the other person, right? So that's basically the efficient way of looking at it. But yeah, as I said, I don't worry about it. There are people like in the world, including me, right? But then, not the rational way of making decisions. And then we have to see that what are the constraints and what are the limits, right? Now, similarly, we have to first understand that which disease has the greatest level of prevalence, right? Because I have limited time and resources. I want to solve something which is bigger. I don't want to solve something which is very smaller and invest the same amount of time, right? So why is it important for me to see that every economist has to see that, or in fact you guys who are working on the drugs, who are working on the technologies, etc., have to see that is that problem serious enough for you to spend time to address that, right? If it is, then go ahead with it. So we saw that oral cancer in India was a serious problem. About like 1/3 of the population were suffering from oral cancer. And then the best part which I really like is that they said that if it can be early detected, then you can save up to 82% of that. Right? So that really brings us the need to develop something which will help in the early detection, because 82% looks great, but we can actually save 82% of that. Right? Now, then what do you need to look at? You need to look at what is the existing tool, right? Which I call it as a golden standard. If I don't bring something new, there must be something which is existing. And if the existing is best, I don't have to bring anything new. And if existing was so best, then this problem wouldn't have occurred, right? So there is some problem with the existing one. So what we look at is what is the efficiency of the existing. And then when we look at that, we get to know that it is about 60% accurate, which is nothing but the normal, what do we call it? ASHA workers, right? They go visually examine about, and then they fill up a form, and then they say that what is the possibility that this person has an oral cancer? Then the person is being sent to the radiologist. That's the existing practice. But few scientists from IAC said, no, that's not working at all. It's really bad. People are not getting detected at early stage. So, what is the impact of it? That we are having burden at the final stage of cancer. And treating a person at the 4th stage of cancer, either it is very expensive, both for the government and for the patients, and or it leads to death. That's it. There is no cure for that. So it has to be early detected. Right? That was what we were taking here. Then we said, okay, fine, what are you guys going to come up with? You know, we want to detect something like this. And what is that we want to bring? So they brought in something called an AI-based screening tool. Now, of course, these all came in because the mobile pictures were not working, so we had implemented them in about now, I think 6 to 8 states in India. We've implemented them to see whether this is working or not. That's maximum we can. We're not going to spend on it. Very clear, right? So the developers don't spend on it. If it is a public health problem, the government spends on it. And how does the government spend on it? Because it has to integrate it with some non-communicable disease program, install it at PHCs, and get the ASHA worker trained. They will use the tool. That's how the entire system works. Now that's when the government comes to us and tells us that, look, you want us to spend extra money on this. Is it worth extra lives? If you say that yes, then we will do it. Right? That's where the government comes to us. And we have to be also very honest in saying that yes, you are going to save extra 5 people for say extra 1 lakh rupee. Then they will say, oh, let the 5 people die alone here. Right? I don't have 1 lakh, I can spend it on something else. Right? So we have to make sure that if the effectiveness is great, right? Is it the number of life years gained? Is it the quality of just the life years? These two are entirely different things. If I can live 1 more day, that is different from I can live healthier 1 more day or not. Now again, it's a very difficult choice to make. Do I still want to live more than for 1 more day or do I want to? That's a very moral question, right? What we will see is that death is serious. If you can still live for 1 more day, that is fine. Right? That's very objective. That's how we decide. And then when we conduct a test, this is a question every health economist or you guys might be studying pharmacoeconomics, something like that, right? On the pharmacies and drugs. But nevertheless, the question remains the same. You have to look at who is the population. Which population is it benefiting? For example, if you are working on something related to mental health, the target population is going to be written in the reproductive age. Right? If you are working on a medicine related to a neonate, your target population is going to be neonates. So that is how you define the target population. First you have to see what is your target population. Then you have to see what is your intervention for COVID. You have to compare it with something or the other. And the last thing, which is O, defines the outcome. Now what is outcome? Can somebody go widely guess of what would be the outcome? So that we have to build something called a transition model. Now what is transition model? Transition model is very important here. Transition model is how the disease transits from one stage to another. Okay, if we don't know that, we will not understand where is the intervention having an impact. For example, if we talk about the drug, where is the drug having an impact? We will not know before that what is happening, after that what is happening, without what will happen, with what will happen. Right? So you need to have a basic idea of that. So for example, in this case, we have patients, which I can't see here in my own screen. Yeah. So we have the healthy patients, then there is an intervention, they go to the precancerous stage, then they go to the stage 1, or they might die. Then if they are healthy, they go to the precancerous stage, stage 2. From stage 2, actually they might die again, which I don't know why I was missing here. And then from the healthy, they go to precancerous, stage 3, stage 4, and die. And there will be some patients who will nevertheless die because we all have to die. Right? So whether cancer or no cancer, we will still have all cause mortality. And this is how the transition model actually looks like for the patient, patients suffering from, say, oral cancer or screen for oral cancer. Yeah, and this is what we do. This is how the outcomes look like. I will not get too much detail into the outcomes because I think this is something that you've already heard as well, that what are the cancer values, right? So when we have 2 interventions, here we have a visual oral examination by the ASHA worker, and then we will have the AI intervention. Then we will look at the cost of both. Now, which of the costs will you take into account? That's a very interesting question, actually. I don't know for effectiveness, for example, I'm working on an AI tool, I want to look at what is the sensitivity score. Right? What is the accuracy level of your device? That is going to give me how accurately you can predict the outcome. Right? But what about the cost? Sorry. No, go. Yeah. Acquisition cost. What is acquisition price? Either you calculate this or you calculate from the scratch how much it has cost to make this product. Right? That is called as a bottom-up approach. Oftentimes, either you can do a top-down if it is available, or you do a bottom-up. The price, market price might nevertheless have come from the bottom-up only. Right? How would you fix the price of a commodity? You will have to see how much it has incurred making this commodity, and then you will set a margin price, profit price, and then you just decide the price. That's going to be the actual cost of the drug. Right? So you take that drug. Now let's go back and look at if somebody has to come and buy the drug. If I'm looking at a patient perspective, if I have to travel some 10 kilometers to buy the drug, is the drug cost captured in that? No. So what happens is that when you are actually looking at the top-down approach and looking only at the drug price, what you are not looking at is the indirect costs associated with drug. So those are called as the economic cost. Otherwise, it's called as an accounting. Right? Anyways, the account ledger will enter that cost. But if I want my drug, I'm not spending that much. I'm actually spending more on the I use. So all these costs have to be counted in because this will vary from area to area. Right? Say for example, I live in a city called Bangalore where you have all these shops very close by. Right? Now it's very easy for me to go and buy the drug. But if I'm working on some private population, they have to really incur a lot of cost to go out to the shop to buy the drug. So if I'm taking only the Bangalore thing, I'm distributing my resources unequally. Right? So I'm not taking the right decision. So what we need to see is that how accurately can I measure the cost that patients incur. And once we do that, then we come up with something like this, which is actually the cost effectiveness claim. This might look slightly different than what Professor Miyagi was showing in the morning. It was just being graph, but it's just a more dynamic one, which I said that the dynamic one really changes some of it.
ఇంకా లింక్ ఓపెన్ చేయాలి. ఇంకా లింక్ ఏదో చెప్పాలంట. ఇంకా ఓపెన్ చేస్తాను. ఇంకో లింక్ ఓపెన్ చేసి ఏదో వెబ్సైట్లో ఏదో చెప్తాను.
Yeah, just be like 3 minutes of your time and then we get able to go. Yeah? So this is, I hope it works now, but let's see.
Professor, Department of Pharmacy Practice, National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, RIPER, Guwahati, under the Department of Pharmaceuticals, Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, Government of India. Dr. Ullala completed his PhD in Pharmacy Practice from JSS College of Pharmacy, JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research, Mysore in 2019, and his M.Pharm in Pharmacy Practice from RIPER, SAS Nagar. His academic and research interests include clinical pharmacy, pharmacotherapeutics, pharmacotechnology, pharmacoresonance, pharmacoeconomics, evidence-based medicine, medication therapy management, evidence synthesis, and health economics and outcomes research. Sir has previously served as a lecturer at JSS College of Pharmacy, Mysore, and as an academic preceptor in the departments of cardiology and obstetrics and gynecology at JSS Hospital. And RIPER Guwahati, Sir holds several key responsibilities, including principal investigator of the Technical Resource Hub under the Center for Evidence-Based Guidelines, Coordinator of the Adverse Drug Reaction Monitoring Center under PPPI, and Coordinator of the TAR Incubation Center at RIPER Foundation. Sir has authorized 74 research publications in reputable national and international journals and contributed to book chapters, including one on pharmacovigilance signal detection and another on macrolides in asthma therapy. Sir has also presented his research at several national and international conferences. Among his notable awards and recognitions, Dr. Rivera received the Best External Cash Flow Award for 100 projects from RIPER in 2025, the prestigious Endeavour Executive Fellowship from the Australian Government in 2015, and ISPA Travel Grant for the ISPA European Congress in Vienna, and Investigator Award at the World Congress on Parkinson's Disease and Related Disorders, a Best Presenter Award at the Asian Conference on Pharmacology, and a Best Oral Presentation Award at the International Conference on Patient Safety. Sir is also nationally and internationally recognized as a member of important academic and professional committees, including the National Formulary of Indian Subject Review Committee, the Indian Pharmaceutical Association Hospital Pharmacy Division, the Pharmacovigilance Program of India Core Training Panel, the International Society of Pharmacovigilance South Asian Chapter, and the Asian Conference on Pharmacology Steering Committee. With great honor, I invite Dr. Krishna Vela to deliver his session on advanced methodological frameworks in health economics and outcomes research. We welcome you.
They have the sometimes anxiety, depression, and all these things because of this condition. If we can convert even those problems, they should be split tracing into the cost between the intangible cost. Okay. So this, remember, these are the three important types, and another direct cost we can relate to as well as on. And the four important methods, I can say the four pillars of pharm analysis. So the four important methods we have in the pharm analysis. I think as you already hear, we have cost benefit analysis, cost effectiveness analysis, cost utility, and cost benefit analysis. I'm not sure like how much you understand what these methods from the previous presentations or maybe from your curriculum. Just to give you a brief idea, to make you understand like how to differentiate. Everyone knows the four important methods in pharm analysis. What is meant by each and every method and how they are different from each other is very important to understand. So that I think we can understand that from this slide. As I told you already in the definition itself, for every pharm analysis we will be mainly focusing on two important things. One is the cost and the one is the outcomes, benefits or consequences out of what we do. Right? And here we need to understand how we will be measuring these two important components when you are looking for different methods of the pharm analysis. So one easy point which we can remember easily is something like cost will be measured in terms of monetary units for all the systems. Very simple, straight away, one single point. For all the four important methods, we will be measuring cost in terms of the monetary units. I think what dollars, rupees, dinars, whatever it may be, based on country where we can understand, we will get that currency to understand the cost of the treatment. Very simple, cost will be measured in the monetary units only. The only difference is going to be like in terms of the outcome assessment, benefit assessment, how we can understand the benefits of consequences, how we will be measuring them, is going to be the difference between all these four important methods. So in case of cost minimization, we are not measuring as such for our the benefits, because we understand from the literature that what are the two drugs we compare, they are synonymous or they are equal in terms of getting the benefits and consequences. They both are giving the same kinds of effects. They know we are getting, and we have the differences on the literature. So we want to measure the outcome of the same. We can directly compare those two medications based on cost. So simple decision we can take. Among the two medications what we are taking for example, simply fever, we have Prosin, Calpol, so many brands of paracetamol available. All are going to be the same effectiveness of cost. In that case, what we can see is like the one which is at the less cost, we will be taking, and we can call it as a cost minimization. So simply we are minimizing the cost by taking the lowest cost medication, because it is going to give almost equal effectiveness as the other medications. Okay. The second one, cost effectiveness analysis, where we will be measuring the outcomes by using the natural units. Natural units means whatever units what we use commonly in the healthcare sector on a day-to-day basis, whatever we are using commonly in the patients, or maybe the clinical test what we are using commonly in understanding the effectiveness of the patient. And all those we will be using to understand the effectiveness. For example, for hypertension, how much HSD blood pressure reduced. For hyperlipidemic agents, how much cholesterol is reducing, how many symptom-free days, how many days of life saved. So some of these are the important aspects we will be using, and we are going to see that how much money we will be spending and how much output we will be getting in terms of the natural unit. And wherever you see that the medication we are spending less and getting more output, then we can go with that and we can call it as a cost effectiveness analysis. So we will measure the outcome in terms of natural units. And in case of cost utility, we are going to measure here the outcome by using a very important measure. We can call it as a summary measure, ultimate quality and respect. Like this, mostly we will use the quality and sometimes we will use the and reserving the respect like this. So we are going to combine all the measures together and finally take the final outcome, and we are going to compare the two different options, how much money we will be spending and how much quality we will be getting. Okay. Then we will compare this two and then we will take the decision. And the final one, the cost benefit analysis, where we will measuring the outcome in terms of the monetary effects. So here, the outcome also we are looking to another way of something. And directly we can say that if you spend 1,000 rupees and if you're getting benefit of 2,000 rupees, directly or indirectly, we can say that that will is right. So we are going to say that how much money we will be spending and how much money we will be getting back. It is not that directly we will be getting back the money, it may be directly or indirectly because we are saving the money, we can keep back the outcome, then we can get the benefits. So I think hope you understand that the important difference between the four important methods in market is going to be right. How they can measure the outcomes. Okay? So how we are measuring outcomes is different between these important methods basically. Not measured here, measuring natural case, measuring some other measures like volume, measuring data on the units. So we can quickly go and see some examples. If we go into examples, there are two more methods for this scope. In addition to the four methods, we have like cost, consequence analysis. Then we could simply list out the cost of the outcomes. Then we can look at the cost, consequence analysis. Just list out the different types of cost and list out different types of outcomes. We can call it as a CCA. And we have something called CO type, cost of illness, where we have to understand the total economic value of a particular disease condition on the entire society. For example, the burden of tuberculosis on India. So we have to take it and we are going to see the burden of the disease on the entire society. We can call it as a cost of illness. So these are the 6 methods. 4 are very important. These are the 4 methods and the market is very, very important. Basic methods. And I think that we have 2 other methods. Sometimes we will use CCA and C1. Okay. So just for example, for every method, what we have 4 important methods. You see here like cost minimization, how do we calculate? We will understand the cost of 2 different treatments. Imagine that both are giving the same purpose and both are at the same effectiveness, for example. The easy way to understand is going to be like mostly cost minimization will be connected to understand the difference between generic item versus branded. So in generic and branded, the rate is the same and the effectiveness of particular rate is going to be the same. The only difference is going to be okay. So whenever the cost is less, we can go with the difference. So for example, you can see here, we are listing out different costs here. The only important point we have to understand is that we should not take always only the medication price as cost. Along with the medication price, there are so many other things which are involved while giving treatment. So we need to take all those things and then take here. Take final cost. Finally, for medicine A gets to spend this much money, and for medicine B gets to this much money. And we can take the decision based on the final cost. Not only the medication cost. If you take only the medication cost, you can see here, the medicine A is being better, costing only 3 months. But medicine B is costing 2 months. But we have to take the remaining all other costs into account while we do these medicines, like nursing costs, office samples, price costs. Incorporating all this things, finally what we understand is that medicine B is better than the medicine A. Because all this is also plays an important role while calculating the cost. Okay? So we can say finally that going for medication B is better than the medication A because it's costing less and we do the same effectiveness as medicine A. So only to measure the effectiveness here, we have to understand the equation. Only compare the cost and take the final decision. Whichever is cheaper, that is better. Okay. So that's about a simple understanding about the cost minimization analysis. And the second one, cost effectiveness analysis. An example we want to take, for example, we are going to compare the 3 different treatment options and we are going to understand how much money we are spend for all the different options. And we are going to look at the different types of outcomes what we are going to get. And this outcomes we will measure different treatment options. So for example, now imagine that we have one temporary condition. For that we have 3 different options are there. And for every treatment we can spend this $600 here, $10 here, $500 here. And how many symptom-free days they will get? Out of 365 days we give, how many days the process will be the symptoms? That's what we are having here, right? So 130 days, 200 days, 250 days. And now we are going to compare that. How much money we will be spending and how much time we will spend. So So wherever, for example, you have a P, you compare it, B versus A, right? So when you compare B versus A, what you can see here is like, for the B, they are spending less compared to A, and they are getting more out. So in that case, what we can do, we can take a direct decision that B is better than the A. That's what is called as a cost effectiveness analysis. They're comparing the cost and they're comparing the effectiveness. Okay? So whenever something comes like this, there's one medication costing less and giving more out. Obviously, that is better than the other one. We can directly take a decision without waiting for any further calculation. And similarly, when you go with the C versus A also, in practice, like C is giving the less cost with the more out compared to A, right? Because they are spending 600 and they're spending only 500 here. They're getting only 136 for 3 days here, and we are getting 250. So what we can see here clearly, for part C, we are spending less compared to A and getting more out. So once again, we can directly get the decision that C is better than A, right? So whenever the scenario is like this, there is one medication giving more out with the less cost, we can go with the direct decision. But always, we don't have to say that, right? Sometimes the scenario can be like this. Just focus here. I'm getting some background noise. So when you compare part C versus part B now, you can see the scenario is something different here. Scenario is something different here. Where you are spending more and getting more out, and spending less and getting less out. Right? So in that case, we cannot take a direct position, and that's where we put that what's called incremental cost effectiveness ratio. There's something called ICER, very important calculation to be performed in the market. Incremental cost effectiveness ratio is incremental cost effectiveness ratio. That is required when the scenario is like this, where one medication is having more cost and giving more output compared to the other one, which is having less cost and giving less output. In that case, we go to the very simple formula ICER calculation. Difference in cost, for example, 530 minus 210 divided by difference in cost, 250 minus 250 minus 200. So difference in cost divided by difference in output, we make it, they will get by ICER value. And based on that, we can decide further which one is better. So further, we can have another calculation like IAP, we can calculate further. So no need to bother those things now. So what we will do is like, whenever the scenario is like this, we can go with the ICER calculation. And based on that, we can decide which way it is going to be. Right? So one of the most commonly used method in pharm economics is going to be like effectiveness analysis. And where we will present the cost and we will present the cost. And coming to the third one, cost utility analysis. And this one is going to be something different from cost effectiveness, because in cost effectiveness, we will take the cost and then effectiveness as a natural like this case of life state. But here we are going to take cost utility, we are going to take quality as a outcome. The quality of this like this as an outcome. So the example we can see here, here they are spending $10,000, for example, is anti-cancer medication. For part B, they are spending $20,000, right? And this making years of life saved after receiving this medication, 5 years and then 7 years. And we are going to calculate something called utility for each year of life saved. That will be taken from the patient or they are going to have the utility value. Utility value is nothing but almost like a quantity. Okay? How much the person is living another 5 years extra here with how much quality. If it is coming near to 1, it's a good quality of life. It is coming near to 0, it's a worst quality of life. It's like basically the utility. So we need to understand even the utility score for 2 different medications. And finally, they want to get the quality. A very easy way how they want to get the quality. It's very simple. If you just multiply this number of years of life saved with this utility score, nothing but 5 into 0, you will be getting the quality. Quality you will be getting just by multiplying the 5 into 0.8. That's a 4 quality. And the second one, 7 is into 0.5, we will give the 3.5 points. Okay. And finally, we go to see that how much money we will spend and how many qualities we will get. So getting qualities we will see on this we have to multiply the number of years of life cycle with the score. Then we will get the quality. Or get this 5 years. So finally, we can say that you can see clearly here. We can say that drug A is better compared to drug B because for drug A we are spending less and getting more quality, and for drug B we are spending more and getting less quality. So in that case, we can say that drug A is better than drug B. Okay. So like that, in the cost benefit analysis, we will get the quality as number and compare the two or more treatment options. And the cost benefit analysis is somewhat complicated. What we will be doing is like we need to understand that how much money we will be spending. For example, here for giving the vaccination, how much money we will be spending overall. Maybe like $95,000 we will be spending overall for giving the vaccination compared to not giving the vaccination. But by giving the vaccination, how much money we will be saving directly or indirectly means we will be saving around this much money for the direct savings. So here we can say that another person giving the vaccination, and we can say the life of the person, finally can be saved this much money, and that's going to be very much high compared to the money of this time. So we are going to say directly that how much money we will be spending for this program of giving vaccination, and finally how much money we will be saving. It is not that the person is saving, the government of India will say this much money directly or indirectly by saving the life of the person. So then we can say that the benefit what we are getting is much higher than the money what we are spending. So we can say that giving the vaccination is going to be like cost beneficial, right? So directly or indirectly, how much money will be saving by giving the vaccination, and for that how much money will be spending. Whenever the money what we are going to get it is more compared to the money what we are spending, we can say that it is beneficial, right? So the cost benefit analysis, both the cost as well as outcome, we will be measuring in terms of the monetary benefits. How much money we will be spending and how much money we will be getting back directly or indirectly. Then we can decide that going to this program is beneficial to the government of India or not, for example. Okay. So these are the 4 important methods. Hope you understand how we can differentiate them. Without understanding these basic methods, we cannot go into advanced methods in pharm economics. You should know, being a pharmacist student, pharm or pharmacy practice, you should have a minimum understanding about these 4 important methods in pharm economics: cost minimization, cost effectiveness, cost utility, and cost benefit analysis. I think with these examples, hope you got some good idea for these 4 important methods. If you go and see the advanced methods now, like it is not always like, whenever you are giving the treatment, all the people are going to get the effectiveness, or maybe all the people are not going to get the effectiveness. It's not the same. Some people may be getting, some people may not be getting. Along with the effectiveness, some people may be getting safety issues like adverse events, some people may not be getting. So always there is a possibility of getting or not getting all these events after taking the treatment, right? And those things we cannot understand clearly by using these 4 basic methods. And that's the reason we will be doing all this with the advanced methods like decision tree, market modeling. These are some of the advanced methods in market economics. So in the decision tree, it's going to look like this. A tree structure will be basically, and you want to compare, for example, the antibiotic A versus antibiotic B. Which one is correct to give your information? Anything can be given, but you want to understand which one is better. So we want to understand, first of all, the different types of outcomes the patient is going to get after this medication, and the probabilities as well as the cost. Okay. So here the probabilities are very, very important to understand that we are going to get it from the literature. You can see here after receiving antibiotic A, what's the probability of getting success? 0.9. The probability of getting 0.1. So altogether it's going to be like 1 basically. You want to understand the problem, and then you incorporate all the values and come up with the final decision. And if they get the clinical success, some people may be getting adversely and some people may not be getting adversely. They don't understand the probability of scale. 0.9, no adversely, 0.1 adversely. And for the clinical failure, as you can see, 0.9 adversely and 0.1 no adversely and 0.1 adversely. Okay. So these are the probabilities of getting the clinical success and clinical failure, and probabilities of getting adversely and not getting adversely for antibiotic A. And similarly for antibiotic B, once again we have to understand the probabilities of the success and failure and probabilities of the adversary and non-adversary. And then for each branch of this tree, you can see the branches starting from here. This one is like a choice node between contacts. There are two different choices. This one is a chance node. Chance node, there are two chances are there. Here also there are two chances are there. And finally this one is put together. Terminal node. I call it as a terminal node. Choice node, chance node, and terminal node. The terminal is at the end of the branch. So the tree is going to have different branches. At the end of the branch we will be having the terminal node. And now for every branch we are going to estimate the money how much we will spend. Okay? And further we will be having different calculations. We will be multiplying the cost with the probabilities. And finally come up with that for antibiotic A we will spend overall $700. For antibiotic B we will spend $50. So in that case we can say that antibiotic B is better than the antibiotic A, because they get overall less cost for the B compared to the antibiotic B. So for the calculation of the B, you can understand when you go to the textbook or in the examples how we are going to calculate this some 150. It is very simple, like we multiply this cost with the probabilities and combine all these things, then you are going to get the final value. Okay. So here I thought of giving you a basic idea about the advanced method like decision tree, why it is important and how we will be conducting this. Okay. Why it is important means I told you already that after giving any treatment, it is not that everyone will be having the same kind of outcome. It will be different. We want to understand that difference with the probabilities. Accordingly, we can work the cost. Then we can go with the decision tree. And the other one is going to be like a macro modeling, somewhat we can advance compared to decision tree. So here they would have a different health states. The different health states the person will keep on moving. For example, now the person came to the hospital with heart failure and they have given the treatment. The person becomes well now. And after 1 year, the person may be in the same state, the person may be in the same state, in the well state only. Or the person may be moving from well state to the sixth state after 1 year. And from the sixth state, the person will be moving back once again to the well state. Or maybe what will happen, like after 1 year, the person got sick once again, and then we wait time, the person will be in the well state. So here what they do is to like macro more advanced. If you take up maybe for example the 5 years follow-up time of any patient, 5 years follow-up time, it is not guaranteed that all the 5 years the person will be in the same health state. We cannot guarantee. The person cannot be well for all the 5 years. He may go into the sick, he may come back to the well, or he may be the well only, or he may be going to the sick, he may be going to death. From death there is no back, it's only final. And there is a backward and forward we can see from the well to sick and sick, basically. So these are the different health states we will be understanding with the follow-up of all these patients. And we need to have the probabilities of all these health states. How much probability is there that the person can go from well to sick in 1 year? And after another 1 year, how much probability is there the person will be in the sick or maybe get back to well? And how much probability is there that person can go from sick to well? So here also they could understand the probabilities. But unlike decision tree, here we will be having the probabilities for the different states. Okay? So whenever you identify what are the treatments you are comparing, whenever you feel that we will be having the different health states, we will follow. In that case, we can go on to perform the macro modeling. So this is just an example for you to give you an idea like how the macro modeling will be compared to the decision tree. Otherwise, we can go and see any other examples and get a more idea of it. And all these things, whatever I spoke here, most of the examples I'm taking from this essences of health economics. That's good. I used to refer every time to pharm economics in my students. You can get all the essential concepts of pharm economics very clearly, very easily with the two-based examples and exercises which is based on. And you want to understand further from like in economics, this is the best one to follow. The textbook and take more insights into it. So thank you very much. Have any questions? Can you discuss? Any questions?
We now proceed to the next session on implementation. It's really my pleasure privilege to introduce Dr. Saraswati here, Professor and Head of the Department of Pharmacy Practice, Head of the Pharmacological Modeling and Simulation Center at Ramaya University of Applied Sciences, Bengaluru. She has 23 years of experience in pharmacy education. An internationally recognized researcher, Dr. Saraswati has authored more than 50 peer-reviewed publications with an H index of 14 and over 830 citations. Ma'am has presented her research at prestigious international platforms, including ISPAR conferences in Japan, Denmark, and Copenhagen, Eurodrug in Sweden, and the Asian Conference on Pharmacology in Australia. She was honored with the Best Presentation Award at Eurodrug 2025 and has received several national and international recognitions, including the Women of Science Award from RUA. Now, Dr. Saraswati is an active member of professional organizations, including ISPAR, ISPE, and APPI, and continues to contribute significantly to advancing pharmacy practice, health outcomes, research, and evidence-based healthcare.
Good evening, and sorry for the delay for this arrangements. So this is on genomics. I think from morning we will be talking about genomics, how to implement in the clinical care, what kind of fundings are available. I think Handika sir was telling about all of those. Okay, so sir is telling about so many things. Is it possible in Indian city? How do you decide? Okay, sure. adverse reaction. What will you do? You say it is your pain, you have to bear it with. Or if it is very severe, you will stop the drug. Lower the dose, stop the drug, and or ask them to continue if the APR is okay to manage. Okay, this is what happened, Why is this difference? Good responders are there, partial responders are there, and lead to the adverse reactions and suffering. Why is this happening? This is because of the genetic makeup of the individual patient. Correct? So that we are not looking at so far. This is a traditional therapy. Whoever comes, they give. So one size will not fit everybody. You have to tailor it for you. So, pharmacogenomics. So this is a study that deals with the relationship between genomic variations and their effect on drug. What is the difference in genomic variation? Is there any actionable genes that you will be able to look for? And is it going to have any influence? So this is what you need to study. So that will say the patient with same diagnosis and medication, why they are having a good response, why they have no response, why they have partial response, or why they have a drug reaction. If you understand this genomic part of it, you will understand. So for these people, the preemptive genetic testing give standard dose. For these people, you increase the dose. For these people, you decrease the dose. Instead of giving them and finding their poor responders or adverse reactions are there, they go only into the understanding. This person will get adverse reaction, reduce it. This person will not respond, increase it. He is okay, give the normal. This is what pharmacogenomics in simple terms is. So it goes like this, patients, the same style. What we will see is pharmacogenomics replaces the empirical prescribing with predictive stratification, classification, stratification. Group of patients have a normal metabolizing enzyme, go with the normal dose. Group of people, they have over metabolizing enzyme, rapid metabolizers are there, or they are not metabolizing properly. This we will be able to stratify the patient population. Accordingly, we will be able to get the dosing. It is not only for the treatment, it is not only for the dosing. This kind of genomic testing will help you for diagnosis, acute diagnosis. Because you have a cancer, you have to go a little deep into it to understand what kind of genetic mutation is there in it. So that diagnosis will help to choose the drug therapy. Targeted therapies are there, targeted therapies are all based on this kind of research. So genomic research is by and large well established basically in oncology, but the other fields it is not so. Then we can go for treatment, targeted treatment, and it is improving the community's outcome, like no adverse reaction, less adverse reaction, no hospitalization, re-hospitalization. Qualitative district diagnosis is very good when you want to go about it. This is one breast cancer pipeline I have kept it. So when there is a breast cancer, what do you do? How do you know there is a breast cancer? There is a lump in the breast. They will say, I am feeling it. So immediately you will touch and feel it. History you will take, general physical examination. So first thing is history, general physical examination. Then is to go for imaging. Imaging, the local imaging, US, sonogram, MRI, those are what you will do, ultrasound. And then you go for CT, MRI, PET scan, this all you will do. Then you do biopsy and immunohistochemistry. I think you have attended yesterday. So biopsy also you will do. Biopsy is the pinch of it. Immunohistochemistry will understand if there is a receptor overactivation or underactivation. With all these things, we will get to know ERPR or the estrogen receptor, progesterone receptor positive, heteronegative receptor positive. Based on that, you are going to classify. Diagnosis you are going to classify like now breast cancer into luminary A. There it is HR positive. This is the hormonal therapy you are going to think about for this patient. And normal like where the luminary A, you see there is no levels of KS67. What is KS67? It is a proliferative index. Chemotherapy will work well only in the rapid be killed. The cells will not be killed. They will be like that only. They may spread instead. Got it? So first thing, cancer. You see what is Ki-67? Ki-67 is an index for either to start chemotherapy or go for further investigation and go for any kind of targeted therapy. Okay. So second is normal life where there is hepto-enriched tumors. So hepto is there, and then you have hepto-enriched or triple negative. There is no ER positive. There is no hepto positive. Then you say triple negative, and triple negative is the worst cancer which can be treated. And unfortunately, young females will get triple negative cancer. Very unfortunate. Young females just married or during their reproductive years. So that is very, very devastating. And the therapy is also very bad. They are not finding good therapy. No good prognosis for it. Okay. So how are you going to, now you see you have genomics guiding it and the therapy goes like this. So first line you give hormone positive. So you go for anti-hormonal treatment, anti-progesterone. So tamoxifen is anti-hormonal therapy. If tamoxifen cannot be given, you can go for aromatase inhibitor. Anybody post-menopausal, you are going to give aromatase inhibitor. When they are in their menstrual cycle, you are going to give tamoxifen. That is important to know. This is what yesterday we asked. When you are having hormone positive, what you have to ask the patient? Menopause over or still having menstrual cycle? Still having menstrual cycle, go with tamoxifen. Then menopause is there, go with aromatase inhibitors or CDK4/6 inhibitors. Then you can try out or the second line therapy or third line therapy based on this. Then if it is hepto positive, super. Very nice, you have trastuzumab or pertuzumab. And in the Indian coverage, we have trastuzumab for 6 months or so. They are given. ESI coverage is there for any breast cancer. Policy has made. But I say, 6 months will not be sufficient. How trastuzumab came into the policy? So when there is a hepto positive cancer, they identify trastuzumab was given, the prognosis is very good. Then they did economic modeling. Then the Indian government was told that you give this therapy, it is good for breast cancer. Nice. But they are given only for 6 months. If it is for 1.5 years, the prognosis is much, much better. But government doesn't have money to do it. Now I think multi-centric study has to happen to say no, it is required for 1 year or 1.5 years. So that still it is going on. Right? If triple negative, it is very difficult as I have told. So we go with anthracyclines. If there is anthracycline, what you have to check for? Anthracycline is doxorubicin. You have to check for cardiac status. ECHO should be, the ejection fraction in the ECHO should be at least 50%. Then only you will be able to go. And if anthracyclines and trastuzumab is going on, what is the problem? Very severe cardiac toxicity. The patient will not be able to take it up. So you have to change the chemotherapy. So anthracyclines or vaccines, capecitabine, gelcitabine, or you go for BRCA mutation. BRCA mutation is there, then you will get Pharm Edu inhibitors, olaparib and niraparib. This is a protocol set in for breast cancer even in Indian setting. How beautiful it is, how neat it is. You know what to give and you will get a good prognosis, and government is supporting this. Is that pipeline like this available for all the diseases? No. And whatever we speak fancy. Only cancer we speak about. Are people not dying by cardiac diseases? Are people not dying by stroke? Are people not dying by cardiovascular or cerebrovascular or neurological psychiatric there, two camps are there. One is African, proper African, but they don't speak African language. African descendants, they speak Kannada, proper Kannada and Marathi. And the other side is Tibetans. They are also not actually Tibetans. They are descendants Tibet, but they are just Kannada people. So he was telling, if you have to those people, these Africans will not be able to take the same rules what we are. They are fast metabolizers. You can't give them the same rules. So there is a big cluster, 2-3 villages. Same rules is not going to work. Among us only there are so much issues, and those are different clusters completely. They are not our origin at all. Second, I had been to Mizoram. Mizoram, I was working on some genomics project. That time they told that every hill has one genomic difference. They are all from different hills. They are all from Mizoram only. Each hill has come from different areas. One hill from Japan, another hill from China. So every hill you have to do genomic testing so that you can understand. It's not Mizoram population. Mizo population is a mixed population. Got it? So this much challenge is there. Indian population, when you say North India, South India. In South India, the dialects are completely different. Right? So what is that? The patient has having erratic vectors, and there is another therapeutic index here, and it is shifting quickly into toxic levels. It is shifting quickly into the toxic levels. You are not able to predict. Then you may have to go for genomics. Then high variability in the Cmax and AU. The bioavailability is erratic. You are not able to predict, and you have a reason why it is happening. Such conditions, you have to go for genomic studies. Able to follow? Okay. So the basic here, pharmacokinetics and dynamics are going to be governed by pharmacogenomics. Now we study about the kinetics here. There is metabolism subtypes. Are you able to see? Can you zoom in and go that side? If we have prodrug and active drug, correct? So prodrug should be converted to active drug, right? So in case of prodrug, you have to check the metabolism. If the person is ultra rapid metabolizer, extensive metabolizer, poor metabolizer, but similar to prodrug only. If a person is ultra rapid metabolizer, you want to be quick, it will become active drug. Quick action is good, and there will be adverse reaction. So ultra rapid increases systemic exposure, and there will be increased efficacy and toxicity associated with that. If they are extensive at a normal metabolizer. Normal metabolizer, I think, same dose is there. They will have therapeutic exposure as expected. They are going to get the efficacy as expected. If they are poor metabolizers, the conversion will not happen. Conversion happen efficacy only. So no less exposure and no efficacy. Got it? So now I spoke about the prodrug. If prodrug is quickly converted, good efficacy and adverse reaction. If it is normal. If it is poor metabolizing enzyme, it is going to cause less therapeutic efficacy and what efficacy. That's it. Now I am speaking about the normal drug. Normal active form you are taking. Active form, rapid metabolizer I take only. Quickly clear, no activity. Normal is normal. Poor metabolizer, they are going to get toxicity. Got it? So when you are taking about a drug, first understand, is it a prodrug or an active form? Prodrug means depending on metabolizing status, it is completely different. Active drug, it is again different. It is just a pulled up thing. Okay? Next. You got it? If you understand this only, I will be able to go further. Next. So, here is the example. We have a drug, 5-fluorouracil or ivermectin. They are normal drugs, active drugs. If there is a poor metabolizer, there will be decreased clearance, there will be more systemic exposure, and this is going to cause toxicity. Adverse drug reaction, the risk is more. There, that side you see, there is a prodrug, tamoxifen. What is tamoxifen? I just told you. It is a hormone receptor antagonist. So your ER positive cases will be tamoxifen. Okay. It is not converted to non-toxic fluorouracil metabolizer, and that is the reason they get higher risk of getting a lymphocytosis and diarrhea, neutropenia, neurotoxicity. So they never take a see. If you get an adverse reaction, what will you do? You say if it is given in micromedics, use micromedics, right? You guys use micromedics? Lexicon. You will see in the lexicon, you will say adverse reaction is given and you will report it. See, when lexicon was telling that adverse reaction need not happen for everybody. Okay, it need not happen to the life-threatening level. People should not die of neutropenia. Neutropenia can be there. Okay, so somebody is extremely getting an adverse reaction, then you have to find if there is a deficiency in the metabolizing enzyme. Okay, so understand TB1, 2A and 13 are territories which can cause life-threatening adverse reactions. So with that, they have checked if it is normal metabolizer, intermediate metabolizer or poor metabolizer, what you have to do. You check it, normal metabolizer, give normal dose. Intermediate metabolizer, you have to give 25 to 50% dose reduction. When you have poor metabolizer, avoid 5-fluorouracil, go for other chemotherapy agents. This is given by algorithms from the CPIC and Dutch company. So similar to that is PPMP versus thiopurine. Thiopurine, you have azacitidine, that kind of urine. So here also, this enzyme is going to convert it to non-toxic metabolite. Otherwise, there is life-threatening myelosuppression. Myelosuppression is bone marrow is going to get suppressed, and the patient will not be able to defend against infections. Similarly, you have NUDT15. NUDT15 again is also causing life-threatening myelosuppression with thiopurines. What you have to do? You have a protocol to tell you give this much milligram for normal metabolizer, for poor metabolizer you reduce it, or ultra-rapid metabolizer you reduce. So you can know this CPIC guidelines. You go home, once you can look at it. Dutch working group, CPIC guidelines, they are very good to understand what kind of clinical studies or dose adjustments can be done. So this is what is saying. See here you see 30 to 80% dose reduction. You know cancer drugs are all very expensive. 15,000, 20,000, 1 lakh. 50% you are going to reduce the dose. How much financial toxicity is managed? You will be able to understand, right? So much reduction in the cost of therapy, if you can see this. Then is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency, which is the raspberries. So this is going to cause raspberries is usually given in hematological malignancy to prevent tumor lysis syndrome. But if there is a glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency, and remember here, 4 million people have this G6P dehydrogenase deficiency. If they are going to get it, and especially in Southeast Asia, Mediterranean regions and Middle East regions, is there a problem? Buses waiting us. 15 minutes, remember? Or if anybody has a serious thing, they can watch it. Okay. So this is something which is very important because Indian population is also having this because it's supposed to be dehydrogenase. Again, when I had been in Mizoram, when I was doing this, many doctors were there on Saturday. coupled with the SN38, and that is going to pass life-threatening diarrhea. This is the mechanism of it. So, ఏం చేయాలి? టూ అలీస్ ఉన్నాయి. క్యాల్కులేట్ చేయడానికి వీళ్ళు ఏ మెటబాలిజం క్లాస్ క్యాల్కులేట్ చేయడానికి టూ అలీస్ ఉన్నాయి. ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఇస్ 128, నో ప్రాబ్లం. చూస్తూ ఉండాలి. యూ హావ్ టు మానిటర్. ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఇస్ 28, you have to see if there is diarrhea, dose reduction should be there. Most of the anti-cancer drugs will reduce dose by 70%. 10 mg కావాలంటే 3 mg ఇచ్చారు. ఆ 10 mg కి 1 lakh, 3 mg కి 30,000 చాలు. కాస్ట్ కెన్ కమ్ డౌన్. అడ్వర్స్ రియాక్షన్స్ కంప్లీట్ డిపెండెంట్. ఫస్ట్ ఇయర్ లో మీరు ఉండొచ్చు. మీరు 4th ఇయర్ 5th ఇయర్ వచ్చేటప్పుడు 4 years ఉంది. జీనోమిక్స్ అన్ని యువర్ కంబైన్ వస్తాయి. రివ్యూస్ రాయొచ్చు. ఇప్పుడైతే యూ కెన్ స్టార్ట్ థింకింగ్ అబౌట్ వాట్ ఇస్ దట్, వాట్ విల్ యూ వీడియోస్, సర్వే ఫర్ జీనోమిక్స్, రీడ్ పేపర్స్, అలా ఉంటుంది. ఫాస్ట్గా సైన్స్ క్యాట్ ఇస్ దేర్ టు హెల్ప్ యూ. యూ కెన్ స్టడీ. సో టీబీలో డెఫిషియన్సీస్ ఉంటే సివియర్ లింఫోసైటిస్, న్యూరోపీనియా, ఫైబ్రోయిడ్ కేసు కదా. టీఎంఈటీ అండ్ ఎన్ఈటీ ఉంటే కరెక్ట్లీ మైనోసప్రెషన్. మైనోసప్రెషన్ అంటే బోన్ వల్ల సప్రెస్ అయిపోతుంది. అంటే ఆర్బీసీ లేదు, డబ్ల్యూబీసీ లేదు, ప్లేట్లెట్ లేదు. ఏమి ఉండకపోతే మనిషి ఎలా ఉంటారు? దే లైఫ్ సో దట్స్ ఆల్ యూ హావ్ టు సీ ఇఫ్ దోస్ ఎగ్జాక్ట్స్ ఆర్. ఇప్పుడు ఎవరికైనా ప్రాబ్లం డాక్టర్ తక్కువ ఇచ్చారా? The drug is wrong. Nothing is wrong. The patient is wrong there. Patient doesn't have metabolizing enzymes. As simple as that. ఇప్పుడు దాకా టాక్సిసిటీ గురించి చెప్పాము. నౌ ఆర్టిల్ వీళ్ళని తీస్తే ఇది ఆక్ట్ అవుతుందా లేదా? దట్ ఇస్ ఆల్సో ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఓకే, నేను డ్రగ్ ఇస్తాను, వాళ్ళకి ఏమీ అడ్వర్స్ రియాక్షన్ రాలేదు, గుడ్ ఓకే. నో, వాళ్ళకి తగ్గదు కదా, మంది ఇచ్చేది దానికోసం. ఇఫ్ దే ఆర్ నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు గివ్ అ రెస్పాన్స్, దే విల్ డిస్కరేజ్. ఇట్స్ నాట్ టు బి రైట్. సో సిటీ టెమోక్సిఫెన్ ఫస్ట్ చెప్పాను. టెమోక్సిఫెన్ ఇస్ హెచ్ఆర్ పాజిటివ్ పేషెంట్స్కి ఇవ్వాలి. టెమోక్సిఫెన్ ఇస్ అ ప్రోడ్రగ్ దట్ షుడ్ బి కన్వర్టెడ్ టు ఎండాక్సిఫెన్. ఎండాక్సిఫెన్ యాంటీబయాటిక్. ఎండాక్సిఫెన్ హెచ్ఆర్ పాజిటివ్ బ్రెస్ట్ క్యాన్సర్ని ట్రీట్ చేస్తుంది. అండ్ గివింగ్ అ ఫీమేల్ హూ హ్యాస్ ఇట్, బట్ షీ ఈస్ నాట్ హ్యావింగ్ దిస్ మెటబాలిజం. సిప్ 2d6 మెటబాలిజం జరగట్లేదు. ఇది జరగకపోతే దిస్ కన్వర్షన్ ఇస్ స్టాప్. సో దే విల్ నాట్ బి ఏబుల్ టు కన్వర్ట్ టెమోక్సిఫెన్ into ఎండాక్సిఫెన్ and they are not going to get the therapeutic activity. అప్పుడు ఏం చేయాలి? 20 mg టెమోక్సిఫెన్ని 40 mg ఇంక్రీజ్ చేయాలి. ఈజీనా? యూ గివ్ 40 mg, they are going to respond. One. Otherwise, give aromatase inhibitors. Anastrozole or tetrazole. Aromatase inhibitors ఇవ్వడానికి ముందు ఏమన్నది? menstrual status ఇవ్వాలి. అడగాలి. If they are eligible, give aromatase inhibitors. If they are not eligible, double the dose. Easy. But that is good to have a genetic testing. So this is that. Next to paclitaxel. Paclitaxel, taxanes is a group of anti-cancer drugs, and if you choose them, it will cause neuropathy, neurotoxicity alone, and it is very widely used for many cancers. It is a very good drug. But if they have this ABC proteins, ADP binding acid అంటారు. ఈ సెల్ వాల్ పైన రిసెప్టర్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఇవి ఎఫెక్ట్స్ కాన్సెప్ట్. వై రెసిస్టెన్స్ ఇస్ హ్యాపెనింగ్? మనం చేస్తున్నామో జరగట్లేదు, రెస్పాన్స్ రావట్లేదు. ఎందుకంటే అది సెల్స్ లోపలికి వెళ్తే కదా అది ఆన్సర్. ఇది నీకు సెల్ లోపలికి వెళ్ళదు, లోపలికి వెళ్తే పుష్ చేసేస్తుంది. సో యూ కాల్ ఇట్ as ఎఫ్లెక్స్ పంప్స్. ఇది ఇట్ ఇస్ పుట్టింగ్ థింగ్స్ అవుట్. సో ఈ ఎఫ్లెక్స్ పంప్స్ వల్ల ది డ్రగ్ ఇస్ పుట్ అవుట్. సో ABC1 is an efflux pump. If there is a allele of this, it will put things out. That is ABC. Similarly, you also have hydrogen fungi. So this is another enzyme. So this will cause a lot of toxicity. ఒకటి activity జరగదు, పుష్ చేస్తే. ఇంకొకటి CYP2H2CA. ఈ యాక్టివిటీ జరగకపోతే this is not converted to inactive metabolite. అప్పుడు న్యూరోటాక్సిసిటీ ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది. With paclitaxel. Next. You have biomarkers now for genetic testing to say this person is responding, this person is not responding. Example here. That is NSCLC. Non-small cell lung carcinoma. Lung cancer is there. You will divide it like non-small cell lung carcinoma, small cell lung carcinoma. Non-small cell lung carcinoma is bilash. setting and the EGFR therapy is the use field. So easy, no? In the yesterday Ritesh was telling, right-sided covalent cancer, left-sided covalent cancer. How many drugs right-sided covalent? అది కోవలం ఉన్నది ఇంతే 1 సెంటీమీటర్ 2 సెంటీమీటర్ ఇంతే ఉంటుంది. దానికి రైట్ సైడ్ ఉంటే కొన్ని జెనెటిక్ మార్కర్స్ ఉన్నాయంట, లెఫ్ట్ సైడ్ ఉంటే అనదర్ లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ జెనెటిక్ మార్కర్స్ ఉంటాయంట. దాన్ని చూస్తూ యూ హావ్ టు గివ్ ద థెరపీ. బై ద టైమ్ యూ కమ్ ఇట్ విల్ ఎమర్జ్ ఇన్ ఎనీథింగ్. పీపుల్ ఓన్లీ స్పీక్ అబౌట్ ప్రిసిషన్ మెడిసిన్. జనరల్ మెడికేషన్స్ విల్ నాట్ బి దేర్ ఎట్ ఆల్. సో ద సేమ్ థింగ్. See, we might put in 6 for tamoxifen, ADC for paclitaxel, and KRAS mutation is a bad prognostic marker for EGFR and EGFR therapy in colorectal cancer. Till now they are giving this away. No use at all. Next, so this much pharmacogenomics we saw. When you say economic model, economic perspective, up to a check, when you see atrial fibrillation, it is a life-threatening arrhythmia. హార్ట్ పంప్ అవ్వాలి, అది పంప్ అవ్వదు, హార్ట్ ఎలా ఉంటుంది, వైబ్రేట్ అవుతుంది. ఇలా వైబ్రేట్ అయ్యేటప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది, బ్లడ్ స్టాగ్నెంట్, బ్లడ్ స్టాగ్నెంట్గా ఉంటే క్లాట్ అవుతుంది. అండ్ యూ రిస్టోర్ ద పేషెంట్, ఇట్ స్టార్ట్స్ బీటింగ్. వెన్ ఇట్ స్టార్టింగ్ బీటింగ్, క్లాట్ విల్ గో సమ్వేర్, స్ట్రోక్ అవుతుంది. Got it? Atrial fibrillation, the complication is stroke. Why? Because the heart is not pumping. The blood is stagnant, అక్కడే ఉండిపోతుంది, అక్కడక్కడ క్లాట్ ఫామ్ అవుతుంది, ఆ క్లాట్ పంప్ అయ్యేటప్పుడు బయలుదేరిపోతుంది. సో యూ గివ్ యాంటీబయాటిక్, యూజువల్లీ యూ గివ్ యాంటీబయాటిక్. యాంటీబయాటిక్ ఇస్తే ఏమవుతుంది, బ్లీడ్ అవుతుంది. Wherever possible, there will be bleeding and people will die of bleeding. So this is the problem we are managing atrial fibrillation. So atrial fibrillation కి వార్ఫరిన్ ఇస్తాం. వార్ఫరిన్ ఇస్ యాంటీబయాటిక్, కింద మీద వార్ఫరిన్. దానికి జీనోటైపింగ్ చేసి many people will have bleeding if this kind of mutation is there. CPC, CYP, C90 or BK or C1. If you mutate, they are going to bleed. So economic calculation what is there? If you are going to check this gene, you can prevent people dying from bleeding. So not only cancer, even for antibiotic. Then this is for TPMP was good. This is carbamazepine. Carbamazepine is an anti-epileptic. Mocha you say epilepsy is that convulsion, sir. So then when you give carbamazepine, they used to get Stephen Johnson, SJS, otherwise there is a way. SJS is Stephen Johnson syndrome or toxic epidermal necrolysis. Is skin alert. Just 1 dose or 2 doses of carbamazepine, skin full is there. You see the chicken, which is there in the chicken stuff. అలా అయిపోతుంది బాడీ. బర్న్స్ అయితే ఎలా ఉంటుంది, అలా బర్న్ అయ్యి ఫస్ట్ హియర్ ఆన్ ఇట్ విల్ గో ఆఫ్ జస్ట్ బికాస్ ఆఫ్ 1 drug. సో ఇండియన్ గవర్నమెంట్ మేడ్ ఇట్ మ్యాండేటరీ టు సీ హెచ్ఎల్ఏపీ స్టార్. ఇది చెక్ చేస్తేనే కార్బన్ ఇవ్వాలి, లేకపోతే ఇవ్వదు. బికాస్ దాట్ ఇస్ ద కండిషన్ యూ కాంట్ రీచ్. హౌ డు యు పుట్ ద పేషెంట్ ఆన్ ద బెడ్ కంప్లీట్లీ స్కిన్ అవుట్. వాట్ నెక్స్ట్? In the service studying about omics గురించి చదువుకోవాలంటే జస్ట్ రాసి పెట్టుకోండి. PCGA, UAL1, GEPI. ఏం చేయాలి మేడం దీంతో? దీన్ని పెట్టి వీడియో చూడండి. రీల్స్ అంతా చూస్తారు కదా, హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ 1 hour 2 hour తీస్తే అలా పోతుంది కదా. దీని పేరు చూడండి, అప్పుడు కూడా రీల్స్ అనేవి వస్తాయి. జస్ట్ స్టడీ వాట్ ఇస్ omics, what is multi-omics, what is pharmacogenomics, what is epigenomics, metabolomics, proteomics, anti-omics. Omics is a word that you will enjoy like it. ఎక్కడి నుంచి చదువుతుంది, దేనికి యూజ్ అవుతుంది, ఎక్కడైనా యూజ్ అవుతుంది, యూ వోంట్ నో. ఓకే, సో దీనికంతా వెళ్ళండి. PCGA, ద క్యాన్సర్ జీనోమ్ అట్లస్. UALCAN, అది ఎందుకు అలా పేరు పెట్టారు తెలుసా? దిస్ ఇస్ ద యూనివర్సిటీ ఆఫ్ అలబామా, పెద్ద పేరు. ఎందుకు అలా పెట్టారు తెలుసా? యూ ఆల్ క్యాన్ అందుకు పెట్టారు, మీరంతా చేయొచ్చు. This who told us? Mahadev sir. Mahadev sir's close friend has started that database, and he told you all can. So we have put the link like that. So anybody can do. You all can start. GEPA. దీంట్లో ఏముంది? డేటా సెట్స్ ఉన్నాయి, క్యాన్సర్ డేటా సెట్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఒక జీన్ బ్రెస్ట్ క్యాన్సర్లో ఎంతగా So now you understood? Traditional patients की genomic lens ద్వారా చూడాలి. ఊరికి మనిషిని చూసి వెయిట్ హైట్ చూసి బ్లడ్ ఇవ్వడం కాదు. So go to the genomic lens. Then you will know starting only they are a good responder, bad responder, partial responder or adverse reaction to it. You will be relieved. This is the first consulting. The next okay. Now we come to the pharmacoeconomic. I will go to economic value. These are all CPIC, omics, and now we are in 2026. Popular నేర్చుకుంటున్నాము genomics. But when it started, you see, 2003 it started. Genomics is not new from there. There is a human genome project. Then CPIC. I was telling you, CPIC last year only. Go study about CPIC. So consortium for pharmacogenomics implementation consortium. Next, Pharm Edu. See, from 2003, every 2 years or 3 years, there is an update. And now 2005, 25 will come down. We have this mega project done. 2025, German open source multimodal PGS LLM is there. So, it's not new. We are talking about something which is existing since 2003. And you can put what is the term. It is not in your BCA syllabus. It is not in any pharmacy syllabus, but we own it. It is pharmacogenomics. Manadi. So precision pathway is must. Whatever precise it is, you have to go with precision pathway. Clinical stratification cheyali, economic viability చూడాలి, పాలసీలో చేంజెస్ తీసుకురావాలి. మన పబ్లికేషన్ వల్ల జరుగుతుందా జరుగుతుంది. రీసెర్చ్ యూడు and Indian context, it is very difficult. We are low and middle income, LMIC, low and middle income country. నాకు అన్నింటికి కావాలంటే they will not accept. Important ని చూపించాలి, అప్పుడు మనం తీసుకోవాలి. So, and second one, most of the healthcare expenses are borne by the patient. మన చేతి నుంచి మన పాకెట్ నుంచి పెట్టాలి. Right? This was a small crack. And since I had an ankle fracture, the fibula and the lateral malleolus got cracked. Okay, the first day expense was 40,000 rupees. ఏం చేయలేదు, ఇది పెట్టడానికి 5,000 rupees material, 5,000 rupees we have to pay for the person who is touching it. Procedural charge, operation కి ఇస్తే ఓకే, procedural charge చుట్టడానికి it is 5,000 rupees. What is this? Patient form, right? So hospital కి వెళ్తే you have to leave your property. That is the status we have in India. On top of which, after paying, if you are getting adverse reaction, that is not accepted at all. So bad. So we have to have catastrophic financial burden. We can't bear it. We can't tolerate that much of money waste and getting bad effect to them. So it is always important to stratify the patient. So why in India? India has 4,500 unique communities in the world. It's not all the same. 4,500 across the whole India. And endogamy, same family is getting married again, and within the family you get married. This all. And extreme genetic heterogeneity. Completely different. And through this they understood that 24 actionable key pharmacogenomic genes are there. 24 genes మనకి alleles ఉన్నాయి, which are very very common. And around 57 WHO essential and neonatal medicines directly is impacted by Indian specific allergic drugs. 57 drugs ki మనం చేయాలి. Neonatal drugs also. Babies, 1 month, 2 month babies, they are also affected. So many drugs actually need genomics as per Indian context. So India is a genetic treasure trove, but its heterogeneity means global pharmacological resistance and fundamentally misunderstood Indian biology. Search చెప్తా ఉన్నారు కదా, western drug ని east లో practice చేయబట్టేది. Western drug will not work for eastern population. Otherwise, tailor it for the eastern population. So this was done. See, this is one drug. Clopidogrel, there is whoever has a heart stent or if they have a bypass surgery, clopidogrel is there. Clopidogrel is there. You see, Indian cohort lo 50% vascular thrombosis, again restricting. These are all happening with these patients. Got it? So clopidogrel aspirin, everybody will get. But checking is actually good. It is not only in cancer, CNE diseases also you can check. This is done. Psychiatry. Psychiatry, 80% psychiatry patients are not treated. And 50% are not giving the response. South Indian, Central India and North India, they have different keys. So, every area has to be given a different drug, different dose. So many metabolizing enzymes are there. So, global pharmacogenomic evidence is inapplicable in Indian cohort. Indian cohort is very weak. Similarly, neurology. Neurology also, 80 to 70 to 80% there is a treatment gap. 30 to 40% resistance is there. Epilepsy, I just saw a young girl who was getting 7 anti-epileptic drugs. One anti-epileptic drug only you will have a lot of adverse reaction. Chinni papa, 3-4 years old. We are not able to control the seizures. 7 or 8. ఒక్క genomic testing చేసి చూస్తే resistance ఉందంటే వేరేది వచ్చి. These are all happening. It's seen, but helpless. We don't know what to do. So clopidogrel, CYP2C90. Aeronautic on a fall-free regimen, UGT1A1. SSRI is CYP2C90. Pegida-MT, SCF30. Carbamazepine, HLA. So these are all very important. If you study that, 50% of the patients will not get adverse reaction or you can improve the treatment sensitivity. When you study the economics, genomics taravata you should know, you guys should know is economics. Word is there for here. Here and health economics and outcomes research is for that. The whole conference is on that. International Society of Pharmacoeconomics and Outcomes Research. So, what is genomics? That is clinical side diagnosis. The other side is cost. So, you guys have to know about cost. What is cost benefit analysis? What is cost effective analysis? What is cost minimization? Chadavandi, teachers won't comment on you. You note down, you go study about it. You have to talk about all these things. Next is for you come, you will be much better. Okay. So these are all the analysis you are doing. Finally, you understand if this genomic testing is required or not. Adi ela cheyalante. For example, you see, decision tree is there. These are the different types of models. Okay. Decision Markov model, semi-Markov models is there, and discrete event simulation is there. These are the different models. ఎప్పుడు ఏది వాడాలి? If there is something which is short term, quickly feel చేయాలి అన్నప్పుడు decision tree వాడచ్చు. Time taking, long term, product only. When you go with Markov or sometimes you have to look at the individual's risk. Then you go for the DES simulation. For example, here, కార్బోనిస్పిన్ చెప్పాను. కార్బోనిస్పిన్ ఇచ్చిన వెంటనే ఏమవుతుంది? SJS or TAM. ఓకే, స్కిన్ అంతా పోతుంది. సో దీనికి సంవత్సరం యూ కాంట్ డూ రిసర్చ్. ఒక్కొక్క సెట్టింగ్ ఎంతమంది వచ్చింది చూడడానికి లేదు. ఇమ్మీడియట్లీ యూ హావ్ టు make a decision tree and understand what is the problem, do HIV testing, see how much it is costing. I think. So it is a must test you have to do. So you work with decision tree model. So the other side you see, you have warfarin వస్తే hemolysis వస్తుందా లేదా, కొందరికి వస్తుంది కొందరికి రాలేదు. Hemolysis రాకముందు you can check INR, INR, bleeding time, clotting time, prothrombin test, అదంతా చూస్తే కూడా warfarin టాక్సిసిటీ ఉందా లేదా తెలిసిపోతుంది. So gene దాకా వెళ్ళాల్సింది అవసరం లేదు. You can go check the intermediate biomarkers and then close it. Appudu you make a Markov of semi-Markov model and think ఇది ఇవ్వాలా వద్దా, you will manage. And that is the lifetime of chronic disease తీసుకుంటున్నారు. Lifetime individual risk ఎలా ఉంది. For that it will be. So suddenly you do something as a decision making tree. You go study about each one. ఎలా చేయాలి? Study papers. ఎలా చేస్తున్నారు? ఒక పేపర్ ఒక్కసారి చెప్తే అర్థం కాదు. Even read, you will understand what is that paper doing about. English will do all if you read papers, not newspapers, the journal articles. Okay? So economic perspective, the standard is to know. I am reading a patient as what is happening now. But currently, there may be sub-exposure or toxic accumulation. That will cause therapeutic not get a proper result. Instead, if I am doing preemptive pharmacogenomic testing, you will do dose escalation or dose reduction, or you go for alternative drug. And the patient is good, efficacy is good, adverse reaction is not there or negligible, and you have a good clinical outcome. So, always you have to know which drug has to go for preemptive pharmacogenomic testing. First level cases, you do small projects like that. Then, national level, health technology assessment models you will be doing. Then that goes to the policy change. Indian government will be told, see, this you have to do, because it is causing a lot of trouble. Then the government policy will change. This is how we have to incorporate such things in India. So, India, extreme genetic variability, heterogeneity, 70 to 80% the drug is not working or it is causing damage to people. In all the systems, cancer, cardiology, neurology, psychiatry. So, first thing we should know about the genomics. Second thing we should know about the economics. When you merge together, go to the policy, we will have to try changing the mindset of the national policies. Policy makers, stakeholders. This is what every healthcare professional should be working on. So, you have a role in changing the community's pattern. Every pharmacist will have it. We are in healthcare profession. We are one among everybody who is saving lives. That we should know. We are frontline workers. మనకి ఎవరు చెప్పరు ఫార్మసిస్ట్ కదా అటువైపు ఉండటి అని. No, in my hospital, ICUలో 5 clinical pharmacists are there. వాళ్ళు లేకపోతే things will not run. Oncologyలో 4 ఉన్నారు. వాళ్ళు లేకపోతే doctors will not try writing anything. We have made the system. You see, మన ఊరికి తెలియాలి. Your presence should be made felt. మేము లేకపోతే అక్కడ ఎవరు పని చేయాలి. We are integral part of healthcare profession. And we have to be. నర్స్ లేకుంటే అవుతుందా? లేదు. డాక్టర్ లేకుంటే అవ్వదు. మనం లేకుంటే కూడా అవ్వదు అనేది we have to give it to the system. And you should be knowledgeable for it. ఊరికి వెళ్ళి చేయడం కాదు. You have to have background of all these things. Then go start. That makes you work. Generally go for striking, farming job లేదు. These are all seriously nonsense. If you are knowledgeable, you will be back somewhere. If you don't have knowledge, you will not. So, go for networking. Go for conferences. అక్కడికి వచ్చి నిద్రపోకండి, మాట్లాడకండి, టైం అయిందని వాచ్ చూడకండి. Something is being told, you have paid something, you go. You will not understand 100%. It is okay. Try something, go study about it. చెప్పారు కదా ఇలా ఉంటుంది. థర్డ్ ఇయర్లో అర్థమవుతుంది, ఫిఫ్త్ ఇయర్లో అర్థమవుతుంది. You will enjoy like that. So, the studies are not just studying. Observe everything. So much room is there for clinical pharmacists in India, especially in India. Doctors are not sufficient at all. We will replace them near to that. We will be supporting them. We will be walking along with them. That is so important. So, ఏమి అర్థం కాకపోతే కూడా you just understand Pharm is good. You are going to have a bright future. Okay, thank you. And sorry for being a little harsh to you. Usually I don't do that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your insightful presentation. So, we have successfully completed the first year of the main conference with highly informative scientific sessions and active participation from all delegates. On behalf of organizing committee, we thank all the speakers, chairpersons, evaluators, participants, faculty members, students and volunteers for this. I request all the dignitaries to felicitate Saraswati.